Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Ivana, and if you're new here, that's totally cool because so am I. Today we're talking all things tattoo related. I know a lot of people have been waiting for this video. This is one of my most asked questions, are always tattoo related. So what I did was I went on Instagram, just put up a question box where you guys could just flood me with all the questions and wonders that you have about tattoos in general, my tattoos specifically, or just anything on your mind related to tattoos. We got our responses and we're going to work through these, try to condense the ones that are similar, etc., and hopefully I can touch on at least everyone's question in some type of way. So let's get to it. Is this thing on? Okay, before we do this, you're probably going to want to see a full 360 view of my body with all the tattoos so that you can know what I'm talking about. You could see how covered I really am, and things will make more sense when we're talking about placement and pain level and all of that. So let's get over to the 360. As you can see, I am heavily tattooed, almost covered just about everywhere. There are a few empty spots that are left, not for any particular reason, but just because I haven't gotten around to it yet, or I just don't care. At a point in my life where tattoos are not a priority. Now that I'm an adult, my money gets allocated to other things. When I was younger, it was easier to put money aside for tattoos because I didn't have as many responsibilities, but that's not the case anymore. I always get asked if I want more. The answer is maybe. I guess it just depends on the timing, the situation, the financials, and really what the tattoo would even be about. There was a point in my life where I was getting meaningful tattoos, and then when I graduated from that, I was just getting a lot of like filler and things to fill in the gaps and the spaces, or things that I just liked at that moment. So the tattoos became a little sillier, had a little less background to them, and now it's just kind of like a big cluster. So we're going to work through them. Let's get down to these questions. Okay, so first question is, did one artist do the majority of your work? No. I have maybe four major artists that I would work with that have done the majority of my body. If I was just getting like a random one-off tattoo with a friend in town, just like a little quick matching one, that would be like a totally different person. I would not trust a random person to do some of the bigger pieces that I have, but as far as the majority of my art, it's done by 4 different artists here in Las Vegas. I will tag all of them below with a link to their direct Instagram so you can explore their portfolio because they all do beautiful work, although it's very different from one another. So that answers my artist's question. They'll all just be down there. All right, a lot of the questions I was getting were about numbing cream, if I ever use numbing cream. I have used numbing cream. It does not help me personally that much. I have used over-the-counter cream, and then I've also used from a pharmacy. It was just like a lidocaine cream. I'm not sure like how heavy the dosage was or like how professional it was or anything like that, but personally it doesn't really help me that much. It may just help in the beginning for just a few minutes, but once the needle breaks like the surface of the skin, the lidocaine is not working nearly as well because it kind of just tends to sit up on the top of your skin. I am going to admit there are a few times where I knew I was going in for a very painful spot, and I would take like a leftover painkiller that would be left over from like a dental surgery or like a family member surgery or something like that. I do not suggest doing that. Not going to condone using drugs that are not prescribed to you, but because I know how my body reacted with some of those painkillers, I felt safe taking a half or a whole one, depending on how long my session was going to be. Some of my sessions have lasted as long as 6 to 8 hours. So of course, sitting there with a needle just poking at you for that long, you're definitely going to want something, especially if you don't have a very high pain tolerance. As time goes on, my pain tolerance definitely went up. I used to not really be able to sit for more than like an hour before needing a break, and eventually I was able to get to the point where I would not need a break at all, even during the 6 hours, other than of course, like, you know, you need to eat or something like that. But being in the shop, I would see a lot of people that would get up, you know, like every 30 minutes to an hour, just needing to like walk it off, smoke a cigarette, do something to get their mind off of it. But as time goes on, and although it's different for everybody, I do believe that your pain level and your tolerance of pain really does increase. So if you're planning on really getting a lot of work done, don't worry, it will get better. All right, my very first tattoo. My very first tattoo does not exist anymore. It is on this foot right here. I had with an ex-boyfriend, well, currently ex-boyfriend, but boyfriend at that time. I was 17 years old, and I don't even think I got my mom's consent, because typically you have to be 18. And if you're under 18, you need like a parent signature consent form thing. But this place was kind of shady, so they didn't ask for that. And they had no problem tattooing us. I will not name drop the place. No. Actually doubt it's even still there, to be honest. It was a long time ago. But anyway, we had one of those Pinky Promise design drawings, and we both have a matching one on our foot. I don't know if his is still there. If it is, that's fine, because it's not matching mine anymore. I have since had mine covered up because it's just like, why keep a bad memory? I do not suggest getting a matching tattoo with your significant other unless like you guys are married and this is like a truly committed thing. You know, it's just, why take that risk? You know, if you guys are just dating and you don't actually know if you're going to be together forever, why have someone's name or initials or like matching on you? I don't know. To me, it was just probably one of the worst ideas I've ever had as far as tattoos go. But my first tattoo is gone. Out of all your tattoos, which is your favorite? Let's see. I think my favorites are going to have to be, God, I have so many, but if you really, really want to break it down, really get down to it, my favorites are the ones that are related to my family members. So this one right here is a portrait of, my grandma. There we go. So it's a portrait of my grandma, and then on my forearm, I have a portrait of my grandpa. Both of these were done by the same artist. He specializes in black and gray realism, so that means all of his tattoos, whether it's a person or an animal or just an object, they look like realistic as it can get, as if you just took the photo and placed it on your skin. So what's interesting about these ones is, let me see if I have it, actually. So the photo I took in as the example for these ones was this tiny. It was just a little wallet size, or I guess back in the day, like a passport sized photo of each one of my grandparents. And because he is a true artist, he was able to take that photo, blow it up, and still keep everything proportionate, which is one of the biggest issues that you'll see in like bad realism work. It's not proportionate, things just look off. But Daniel did a great job. I was on a waiting list to get in with him. He's an award-winning tattoo artist. So things like that are really things to keep in mind, especially if you're getting something that means a lot to you or something that really truly matters, like down to the details, especially if you're putting someone's face on there. It's worth it to invest, you know, that time and that extra money in getting someone who really, really knows what they're doing. Because just because someone is a great tattoo artist in, say, like traditional or color work doesn't mean that they're going to be great at realism or portraits or black and gray. So you really do have to do your research, and you need to go to the right person for the right job, just like anything else in life. Next question is, where do I go for one impulsively in Las Vegas? So on the Strip and downtown Las Vegas, there's these pink buildings and they say Coolsville Tattoo, or sometimes they don't say that, but like they're hot pink and it says tattoo. And like they're all like the same family of tattoo locations. I don't know if they're like all owned by the same person, but whatever. But they do like super affordable tattoos, and then they'll do like $10 tattoos. A $10 tattoo would be like about as big as like the little random ones that I have on me. So you don't really get much for $10, but if you're just like with a Betsy and you guys want to get a little matching one anywhere on your body, they'll do it like up to like maybe a quarter size, and it's $10. So super impulsive, maybe not the best work ever. I don't know the artist there, but just a super last minute decision. I guess that would be the way to go. What was the most painful tattoo? So for me, definitely, but again, everyone is different. Just like we were talking about pain tolerance before, everyone's spot is going to be different for their most painful. My most painful was the knee, like the whole kneecap, and then inside, oh my gosh, inside of it in the knee, which is called like the knee ditch, that hurt so bad. So even with my painkiller, I'm like 100% sure I took one that day, it was so painful, and your knee swells up from just, you know, like just all the pain and everything going on with it. I believe mine stayed swollen for like 2 or 3 days. So I had to take time off of work because I wasn't able to like even get pants on, and if I could get my pants on, it was just bleeding everywhere because it does need, you know, like time to heal and breathe and all that. It was just a big mess. I would say that one was the worst. Second worst, anything on the hands. Like the hands, the fingers, the type of pain is like, you can't even describe it. I mean, it feels like, because there's barely any like fat or skin there, it just feels like it's right on the bone. So you're just like, just constant little pricks, just like on your bone, on your bone, on your bone. No matter where it is on your finger, for some reason, it feels like it's on your nail bed. Like that's where all the pain, like that's where all the nerves must be, because that's where you're feeling all the pain. Hands down, those two are the most painful. Why I went back a million times and got more on my hands? Crazy people do crazy things. But for me in my life, those have been the most painful. I'm sure if you ask another person, they'd have something completely different to say. As far as least painful, I would say the arms. Yeah, there are some areas on the arms that are a little more sensitive than others, but overall easy to sit through those. You could sit for long periods of time. And I would say maybe like the upper thigh area were a lot less painful than any other areas I've done. Upper back, like back of shoulder and stuff, is really not that terrible either. All right, next. What was my first full color tattoo? My first full color was on my thigh. Let's see. This one right here. I'm not like an art person, so I don't know the name of the artist who has this painting, but my grandma always had it hanging up in her house. So I used to see it every single time that I would go over there, which was like quite often. And the painting just kind of like stuck on me, you know, like it just gave me like a childhood memory. So that was the first one I had done in full color because I wanted to mimic it exactly as it was on the wall. Okay, can we just, all right, there we go. So that was my first full color one. I don't really have a lot. Well, I guess maybe like this whole leg is actually color, and the rest of my body is more so just gray, black with like little spots of red. Red just shows up really well on my skin, and it's a color that I kind of just stuck with for the rest of my body. My most expensive piece, like one piece, because I guess if you add it up, like everything on my whole leg sleeve, obviously that would be the most expensive, but we broke that up over, you know, a few years of just getting a few pieces here and there and then connecting them all together. So I'm not going to count that. My most expensive ones were definitely the portraits on my arm, because he was world-renowned tattoo artist, you know, like award-winning, all that stuff. Each one was around $1,500. So these two were about $3,000 put together. I did not get them both at once. It was split up over a couple of years as well. Love them, thank you. Do you feel any judgment because of them? I would be lying if I said that I get no judgment from my tattoos. No matter how you present yourself in this world, no matter how professionally you present yourself, no matter how well dressed and well groomed you are, to some people, tattoos are always going to be associated with being like low life or scum or just trashy. Unfortunately, that's some people's view of tattoos. For the most part, I'm met with, well, at least to my face, no one's ever come up to my face and said anything like outlandish or rude. As far as the most reception I get is usually just positive. You know, people want to see them, they want to touch them, they want to take pictures of them, they want to ask where you got it done. And I guess maybe that really depends on the quality of the work that you have. If it looks more like art or if it looks more just like splotches of tattoos everywhere. I'm not sure what goes on through people's heads, but yeah, there's definite judgment. There's judgment in the workplace. I know I've lost opportunities for a few jobs that I had in the bag because of the visible tattoos. There's a lot of jobs I wanted to apply for where it was just said right there in black and white, like you cannot have visible tattoos. So obviously I couldn't be a candidate for them. So just a lot to think about when you are getting them. If you're already like in an established career and you know it's not an issue and you know your boss or whoever doesn't care and you know that that's where you're going to be for a long time, totally, you know, like maybe start after you're established. I wouldn't start when you're really young before you even have a career and then just hope that everyone's going to accept you because you're qualified for the career. Unfortunately, that's not the world we live in yet. Hopefully one day tattoos won't be so taboo and stigma, but until then, just be mindful of where you're putting them. I would always suggest to put them in places that you can cover up easily. So like for females, I would say, you know, maybe like not past your knees, you know, maybe like up to your elbows, or a sleeve is okay as long as you don't mind wearing long sleeves if you have to. But if you're in the workplace and they don't want them shown, just try to be mindful of where you're putting them and that they're placed in areas that can easily be covered if you need to be. Least favorite tattoo. So least favorite, it's hard to say. I don't really think I have a least favorite. I have a few that I like the concept. I just wish maybe it would have been done differently, maybe like even a little bit better. And it's no fault completely of the tattoo artist. It's also the client going in, you know, not expressing myself correctly or being afraid to say, ooh, I don't really like that, can we tweak it? But I do have a few where I'm like, I really wish I would have put a little more thought into it. So I have one here that I've actually been getting removed, and I think I'm kind of done with it at this point because I've had like 4 sessions on it. It was a like caricature of my cat, like in a pretty gold frame, and she had like a really pretty like Kentucky Derby hat on her with the feather coming out. I thought it was super cool, like personification of my cat. At the time, I really loved it. The art was great, the work was great. As time went by, I did not love the placement. It just seemed like just such a big random like floating piece on my back. At that time I had other plans for my back, and I wish I would have just left that blank because I wanted to get like a really large piece that would have covered from shoulder to shoulder. But by the time I was done getting it removed, I was kind of like over getting tattooed at that point. So now it just sits like that. It doesn't really bother me. Depending on how tan I am that year, you may or may not even see it, but that would maybe be like a least favorite. Yeah, the one with my ex-boyfriend that we got covered up, obviously that was a least favorite, but for the most part, I love everything that I have, you know, and if there's pieces that were worked on by like a random tattoo artist on like a bad decision day, I've gone back into my actual tattoo artists that I know and I trust, and they've been kind enough to rework them. So they'll kind of like go in and add their own spin on it, fix some spots that, you know, needed better color, needed better shading. And so for the most part, even ones that I didn't really love, I've been able to get updated, if you will, into a piece that is more my style and my type. Okay, did the middle or under boob hurt? Okay, on a scale of 1 to 10. All right, so I'm not gonna show you my boobs, but it goes all the way up to the bottom of the boob, and then I have it going up through the middle. Yes, it hurts. I think it's a lie for anyone to tell you that something like doesn't hurt. They all hurt. Now the level is like varying degrees of hurt, but all of them hurt. On a scale of 1 to 10, like my chest and sternum area, like an 8. It's such an odd feeling because it's kind of like hollow right there. And I don't know, like there's not that much, it's like fatty skin. So it almost feels like it's hitting the bone, kind of like the fingers. It was not a pleasant spot, but like I said, all tattoos hurt. Like I feel like I have to put this big disclaimer here. All tattoos hurt. It's one of my most asked questions when I'm in public. Like, oh, did your arm hurt? Oh, did your fingers hurt? And I want to be like, ma'am, sir, all tattoos hurt, period. End of story. It's that simple. What all do you have on your hands? Hands are a funny story. Well, not funny, they're just a story. But at one point I had something on every single finger, and I went through and I got them professionally lasered off. You can still see like some leftover fragments because laser tattoo removal is also different for everyone, and it really depends on the tattoo and the technique the artist used and the ink they used. But I've had the majority of them removed. So some, like this one had like 15 sessions until the laser removal guy was like, listen, we're gonna give up on that one because it's not going anywhere and we're wasting your money. So thankful for that. Like others took maybe like 2 sessions to come off, so it really just depends. But currently on my hands, I have this art on my thumbs. A lot of people ask if it's henna. It's not. It was really nothing. At that point, I had something on all my fingers except for my thumbs, and we just wanted to fill them in with something cute. So I told my artist, like, hey girl, do whatever you want, which she was stoked about, and she just came up with this cute, like, feminine design that I love. Gets a lot of compliments too because no one really knows what's going on. Then I have an apple. It was completely filled in, but when I was doing my laser removal on one session, he accidentally zapped that one because he forgot we were not touching that one. But there it is. It's an apple because I was a teacher for 5 years, and it just reminds me of that experience. Under my rings, I have an infinity symbol, which I had long before I even met Sean, because I knew that when I was going to get married, it was going to be once and for all, and I wanted that to be just a reminder to find the right person and make sure it lasts, you know, forever. And to go along with that, I have this one. It says never settle. Just, again, a reminder that whoever I'm with, just make sure I'm not settling. Don't just say yes to anybody. Don't just say yes because you just want to get married, and it doesn't matter who really it is, you just want to get married so bad. It was just a reminder to myself to have higher standards for myself and find the right person. Inside my index fingers, it says, too blessed to be stressed. Just a little life motto. Even though I'm stressed all the time, sometimes you got to remind yourself that you have all these beautiful blessings and all these great things in the world, so it's not worth that little bit of anxiety and stress. Actually, this is a good teaching moment right here. Finger tattoos, for the most part, let me see. So for the most part, finger tattoos are gonna blow out, and that's kind of the term that they use for when it starts to like stretch out and fade right there. It just gets blown out. You want to make sure that your artist is using like the finest needle that they have at that time. So you can see like this is more of like a fine needle line, whereas this was like a thicker needle line, and because of that it blew out. But it's fine, you live and you learn. I recently added the Nevada symbol to my fingers, and on the inside I have Dear Slim. That is paying homage to Eminem and that song Stan. That could just go on, that could be like its own story, but I had a really dark period in my life, and Eminem's music like really got me through it. It was really like my motivation. It got me through day to day. So I had to pay my respects in some way, and it fit perfectly. Love it. What is the most recent tattoo you got? Okay, the most recent ones I got was the Dear Slim on my fingers, the Nevada on my finger, and also the one of my dog on my leg. My dog portrait right there of Bambi. Again, a little unique caricature of my dog as a traditional tattoo. And I got all 3 of those done last year in 2020, right when like the major quarantine was lifted. So right when tattoo shops were able to open again, that was the first thing I did, was schedule those 3. The Bambi one and the Nevada one were done by the same artist. She'll be linked down there. And then the ones on my fingers were done by a different artist who I'll also link down below. Favorite placement I have. All right, we're gonna do one more question because I don't want this to go on for forever. So my favorite placement that I have would be, other than like my full leg sleeve, I think it's just so different and unique to see a female with a full leg sleeve. Like in general, you don't really see a lot of full leg sleeves, and then to see it on a female is pretty cool. But the one that's always like, oh, whoa, I didn't know you had that, that's crazy, is on my back. It's my mom's eyes on the back. Up here, kind of to symbolize that my mom's always watching my back, and she always has my back because she does. She's my bestie. And that's it. I'm gonna wrap it up with that. Lots of love to you guys for submitting all your questions. Sorry if I couldn't get to all of them, but I am always available on Instagram. If you have any specifics, you can DM me. Also, so many thanks, all the hugs, kisses, and love for all my tattoo artists that produce such beautiful work, that have turned me into this walking canvas of art. I can't thank you enough. So glad I found you guys. And once again, everyone is linked down below. If you have any questions, go ahead and leave them in a comment. I will make sure to get to every single one of them. And if you like what you see, please like and subscribe for more. Have a great day.